Are you preaching yourself into or out of success? I was watching this sermon by Stephen Furtick recently, and in it, he was talking about the fact that there are two sermons that we tend to hear. Now, the first sermon that we're always hearing is the one from whoever we get our spiritual guidance from. So it's our pastor, maybe you're getting guidance from people on your newsfeed, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, wherever. But it's something that somebody has constructed and prepared to deliver a very specific message. Now, the other sermon that you are likely to hear on a very regular basis is the one that you preach to yourself. It's preached to you every single time you have a thought that you hear in your own mind. Now, remember that these aren't necessarily words that you're saying out loud, but they're definitely words that you're hearing. And as you continue to preach into yourself, the question is, what are you preaching? Are you preaching words of encouragement, words of love, words of compassion, words of motivation, inspiration? Or are you speaking essentially death into yourself? All of that negativity about why you can't do something, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not slim enough, you're just not enough. Now, considering you are with yourself 24 hours a day, that is the longest sermon you will ever listen to. So what are you preaching? Now, I get it. All of us have something that we are hopefully trying to work towards in this life. Something of meaning, something that can contribute to the greater society. And a lot of us are stepping back because of fear. But where does that fear stem from? The words that you've preached into yourself. The words that have said, I can't do that because I'm going to fail. I can't do that because it won't be received well. I'm not good enough for that. I'm not smart enough for that. I don't have the right connections for it. And so every time you're speaking all of these words into yourself, you're either moving yourself towards success or you're moving yourself away from it. I want you to imagine standing at the top of a hill. Every time you speak these negative words into yourself and you preach this sermon of self-doubt, you remain at the top of the hill and you continue to see just how far the journey is. But as soon as you can use those same muscles, the same thoughts, the same construction to speak words of life into yourself, it's the same energy whether you're speaking negatively or positively. So when you're using those things for positive and you're saying to yourself, do you know what? I may not feel like I'm smart enough, but I can give it a go. I may not have the right connections right now, but I can start reaching out to people. This is something that's been on your heart for a while, so I'm going to give it a try and see where it gets me. When you start to speak to yourself from that place, in that way, you start to make steps. You start to move down the hill. You start to gain momentum. And as you continue to go, your confidence will grow. Your abilities will grow. Your knowledge will grow. Your resources, your connections, all of those things will grow. And you'll get a much clearer sense about where it is you are going and have the confidence to know that when you get there, you deserve to be there. So what are you preaching? I want you to be really intentional about the words that you're using, the language that you're using when you're speaking to yourself. Because it's that same language that influences your mindset and keeps you in a place of stuck. It's not the world that's prevented you from achieving what it is that you want to. It's you and the sermon that you're preaching to yourself. So I want to encourage you today to change the story, to change the narrative, to change the language and start preaching yourself into success.